Hi guys, I'm Steph. Thank you so much for checking out my channel today. I'm really excited to be bringing you round 2 of First Impression Foundation. I've already gone through 10 foundations where I gave you my first impressions, did wear tests, and that sort of thing. And then I did a roundup video where I compared all of those 10 foundations to each other after wearing them under other conditions, giving them a bit more time to let you know what my thoughts were on them now. And I said I wanted to do another round with another 10 foundations, and I'm excited to finally be starting it. So today is going to be on the Fenty foundation and the primer. I picked these up about 2 months ago in a Sephora VIB sale haul. I'll link that video down below in case you're interested. And besides the foundation, which clearly I haven't tested yet because I'm about to do a first impression, I have been testing out the other products I picked up from that haul. So you're going to see over the next few days, I'm going to be talking about the Drunk Elephant products I picked up in one video, as well as pretty much a lot of the other stuff in another video. So make sure that you subscribe so you're notified about those videos and you can see what my thoughts are on a bunch of other products I have picked up. But let's go ahead and start with this first impression. So now that I've zoomed you in, just if you're not familiar with how I do my first impressions, I usually do half my side with a brush and the other half with a sponge, but because I am also testing out the primer today, I'm going to do everything with a sponge and do half my face with the primer. So before we get into it, just to tell you a bit more about the primer, it is a shine stopping, pore diffusing primer that smooths the way for better foundation. So I'm expecting to be matte and blurred pores, and it's going to be beautiful. So I'm going to put it on this side of my face. Probably way more than I need for half my face, but here we go. So I can't really tell about mattifying yet, but as for pore blurring, I feel like that should be pretty instantaneous, and I don't really notice a difference. Not at all, but it seems to sink into the skin really quickly. It already feels like a little bit tacky, which is nice, so you don't have to wait too long for the primer to sink in before you go in with the foundation. So today I am going to be using the Fenty Pro Filt'r Soft Matte Longwear Foundation, and I'm in the shade 120, and as everyone knows, this has a huge shade range. And just to give you a bit more information about it, it is a medium coverage with a matte finish. It says it's a soft matte longwear foundation with a buildable medium to full coverage in a lot of shades. So we are going to test it out and see how buildable it is. Now that I got my hair pulled back, we can get into it. So I'm going to be using my beauty blender, and I'll go in on the side with the primer first. It already feels like completely sunk into the skin. I'm just going to pump a bit onto the back of my hand. And I had to wait a long time for this shade to come in because it seemed to be super popular. And 110 looked too light, but then 130 was too dark. And I'm not sure this is the shade for me. I also picked this up in like the dead of winter, so might not be the best shade for me currently. So that's about one pump, and that covered half my face. I do think it's a pretty good shade match. It does seem to match my neck. The rest of my body is a bit more tan, so I feel like I'm going to really have to bronze it up. As for the coverage, it seems, I would say medium, but I would like a bit more coverage. So let's try going in with a second pump. So I want to see some more coverage here, so I'm just going to go over this area. I think that builds really nicely on itself. I feel like the coverage is so much more there. I really like it with 2 layers, and I think it built up really nicely. I feel like you can tell which side has foundation. So now we're going to do the side with no primer. And again, just going in with one pump first, just to see what kind of coverage we get. This side I feel like is a bit more active with the acne, so there might be a bit more to cover up. So this is 2 layers, this is one. I don't know if you guys can really see a difference I still have some stuff peeping through, but I would definitely say one layer does give you a strong medium coverage, but I am going to try to build it up in this region that has a lot of redness. Okay, so now both sides have 2 layers of foundation. I'm really liking the coverage. It feels like a bit, I mean, I just put it on, it still feels a bit wet, but I can totally see it drying down and not even having to powder it even or set it. So if you have a dry skin, you might like that aspect that you don't need to go in with a powder to put on top of it, but we will see how mattifying it is. That might not be the best for drier skin tones. As someone with oily skin, I really like how it feels so far. Like, I mean, I've had it on for a little bit, but it feels nice to the touch. I like the coverage I'm getting. I feel like the color is a good match. I'm glad I waited for 120. I think this is like their 3rd or 4th lightest shade, which is pretty great because usually in foundations I'm the lightest shade, and I know there are people who are lighter than me, so I'm glad that there is such a range for everyone. And I was worried it was going to be a bit yellowy when I first put it on my hand, because usually I tend to go for pinker undertones, but lately I've been finding like my foundation looks too pink, so maybe this more neutral undertone is what I need. I'm really happy about it. So 120 is for fair skin with neutral undertones, so I guess I've been going too pink with my foundations. Anyways, I am going to do the rest of my makeup, and then I'm going to come back and let you know how other products go on top of it, like powders and creams, and we'll see where we're at. So here I am with my makeup done. If you like this look, then make sure you check out yesterday's video where I did a whole get ready with me where I showed you this look. Anyways, for the foundation, I put on cream products, I put on powder products. I think everything laid very nicely on top of the foundation. I didn't find that I used a cream highlighter and I didn't think it moved around the foundation underneath. The powders didn't go on patchy. Everything went on very, very beautifully. I didn't have any problems with any of the products melding with this foundation, which is always great because you don't want a foundation that doesn't play well with your other makeup products. However, I would say the foundation looks a little cakey in certain areas. Like my chin, I did not add any powder to that area, like bronzer, blush didn't go there. I did not use a powder to set it. I didn't spray it down with anything because I want to see how this foundation wears on its own. I didn't want to add anything into the mix that might change how the foundation actually wears. And for some reason, like in my chin area and on my forehead even, I feel like it looks so cakey. Like it looks like there's powder over it, but there isn't. And like that powder needs to be set. So that is really weird. Overall, I kind of think it looks a little heavy on my skin. I'm not sure if it looks that way to you guys. Let me zoom you in. So to me, like I said, it looks a little cakey in this area. I feel like it looks a little heavy on the skin, like in this region here, and like a little heavy in here. And on my forehead, I feel like, I hope it's picking up on camera, like it is not cute. It is like sinking in here. Again, it feels cakey. And I would say like, even though I said I don't think you need to set it, it still feels wet to the touch in the areas where powder didn't go over it. So my chin and my forehead, which is where I get oily. I'm going to zoom back out. So my chin and my forehead, which is where I get oily, still feel wet because I never set them. So that makes me nervous going forward throughout the rest of the day that those areas are a lot of oil is going to come through. I don't know. And maybe the oil will make it look less cakey and it'll actually look better. Who knows? I would say as of right now, I'm not loving how it looks here on my smile lines or between my eyebrows. I think it just looks super cakey and heavy. But I'll check in with you guys at the end of the day to see how it wore and give you my final thoughts on this first impression. So it is the end of the day. I have been wearing this foundation for close to 8 hours and I'm not using natural lighting anymore before I was, so I have lights shining on me, which is why I think I look a little oilier than I would have had I been using other lighting. That being said, so to recap, this foundation claims to be mattifying. That's basically its whole thing. And the primer claims to be mattifying as well as blurring. Well, as you can see, like I do have a little bit of shininess in the places where I never put like a powder product like bronzer or blush, never really quite set. And I'm going to zoom you guys in closer so you can see like the things that I really have issue with. So I feel like it really sunk in at the smile lines. I did not really notice a difference between the side with the primer and the side without. So as you can see, it's sunk in. And on my chin, so shiny, completely breaking apart here. And if you go right here in terms of pores, I guess this side looks smoother than this side, but barely. And then up here, very oily, and I just felt like it never really quite set, always looked a little cakey. So that was pretty up close and personal to see everything I had issues with. So like I said, I didn't really notice a difference between primer, no primer, maybe a little bit of blurring with the pores, but just barely, and definitely nothing to do with mattifying. So that was really disappointing. I definitely do not think like it is needed that you wear the foundation with the primer. And on top of that, I was not super impressed with the foundation. I feel like so many people hyped it up so much because of the shade range, but when it comes to the actual foundation itself, I just feel like I have better formulas and better foundations in my collection. I'm going to talk about the Too Faced, the peach one. I just think that one is such a good demi matte finish, and I don't have any of these issues with caking up and not setting when I use that one. I will continue to use this, try it with some powdering, setting spray, see if that makes any difference, but on its own, I feel like it definitely does need some help. I hope you enjoyed this first foundation in my second round of first impression foundations, and that you'll make sure to subscribe so you can hear about the other products I picked up in the VIB sale haul. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great day or great night wherever you are. Bye.